Everybody's talking about Clemson in the ACC, but there's another team a little bit further south that wears orange as well, and they're going to have something to say about whether or not Clemson, when it's all said and done, is going to win this ACC this year and represent the conference in the college football playoff. We're talking about Miami next on the College Huddle. And joining me now here on the College Huddle, it is Joe from the Miami Knights podcast. Joe, welcome into the College Huddle, my friend.
Thanks, Eric. Good to be here. That intro you had got me fired up, ready for football, ready to beat Clemson.
There we go, man. Of course, when we talk about the ACC, we talk about orange, man. You cannot talk about Miami. It is the U. It is polarizing, and this time of year seems to be the time when I guess hope abounds down there in the southern part of Florida. And I'm excited to see what Miami's going to bring to the table this year. Let's start here, Joe. Tell everybody who you are, about your podcast, and where they can find you.
Yeah, so my name's Joe Nugent, and we have the Miami Knights podcast. So you can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. But it's me, my brother Jimmy, and then our best friend Kurt. We're just lifelong diehard Miami Hurricane fans, and yeah, we just decided to get together and kind of go through a lot of the grief that Miami fans go through most seasons, and then hopefully have a little bit of triumph. But you can just listen all season long to however this year goes. You never know with the Canes.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Now, let's talk a little bit about last season, how the season ended, what the fan base was feeling at the end of 2024, and then get us up to speed on how that transitioned into 2025's offseason.
Yeah, last season was special in a lot of ways, obviously, with Cam Ward. I mean, that was unlike anything that we have seen at Miami in a very long time, maybe ever, with some of the numbers he was putting up. And so it was special to start the year, and then like so many seasons in the past 20 years have gone, they stumbled down the stretch and had a couple really bad losses. Defense really ended up letting the team down with the offense that they had. You just needed a defense with a pulse to make something happen, and they didn't. So then you end up with kind of a tough loss in a bowl game where the starters didn't play the whole game, and it was just a gross ending to the season. But with that came a lot of changes in the offseason. So the defense that let Miami down so badly has been revamped. Mario Cristobal using the portal in a big way to give them a brand new secondary. Offense is going to be very good. And really the big question mark is that quarterback position. But did all the right things this offseason to kind of fix some of the holes that were clear last year. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But last season was fun as it was growth. You started 5-7, Mario Cristobal's first year, and then you've seen improvement year over year, and then should have had an 11-win season last year. But that bowl game gone from memory. I have forgotten about everything that happened at the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Don't ever want to talk about Pop-Tarts again.
It's not on the menu down
No,
in Miami, huh?
absolutely not. Never again.
All right, give me your overall thoughts of Mario and what the fan base kind of views him as right now going into this season.
Yeah, this is a big season for Mario. I think he's done all the right things. He said his day one here said that it was going to be a huge rebuild. Of course, every coach says that, buys him a little time, but he was right. The roster was not in a good spot when he took over, and so he's built it kind of from the inside out. He's an offensive line guy. We have maybe the best offensive line in the country this year. There's definitely some other teams that could make that argument, but Miami's right up there. And so now it just comes time to like, okay, this is the season that we have all of the pieces in play to make the college football playoffs. We haven't even made the ACC championship. We haven't won a conference championship since 2003. We've played for one ACC championship. We had a we had to forego another one because of sanctions. So it's like, make the ACC championship, but this year college football playoff is the goal. So it's a big year for Mario. He's recruited well. He's built the roster that he wants and the roster he's been saying he's going to build. And now it's like, all right, put up or shut up time. We need to see championship results.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you mentioned was using the transfer portal to get Carson Beck. Obviously, this is a big storyline this offseason. There's some things kind of hovering around him that are unique. Some of the off the field stories, kind of get everybody up to speed who maybe hasn't been paying attention about what those are. And then what are your views on Beck?
Yeah, so Carson, I mean, it's an interesting position here because Carson Beck coming off of 2023 was, I mean, he was the best quarterback in college football. He was a Heisman favorite going into last year. He was going to be the first quarterback taken, and then he struggled last year with interceptions. Granted, they had tons of drops. I think they were leading the country in drop balls. So there was a lot of issues there. And then he had that UCL tear. So he missed. So when he came to Miami, he missed all of spring ball with us. So some of that stuff has been interesting. And then you've got the off the field stuff with he was dating one of the Cavender twins that drew a lot of media attention for some reason. And uh, so there's like he's just an interesting player that Miami now has, and there's a lot of question marks. But if you can get the Carson Beck that we saw 2 years ago, that I mean, we're not going to replace Cam Ward, but this is a pretty good second option that Miami's bringing in. But we don't really know what we have until game one because we haven't seen him in almost a year playing football.
And it's a massive game one, and we'll get into that here
Massive.
in a little bit. Um, I want you to maybe answer some of the national, I guess, pundits, if you will, or some of the narratives that surround Miami, and I'd love to get your response on that. Let's start with the fact that the fan base doesn't come to the games. Speak to that.
Yeah, so right now I live in New York, but my whole family's in Orlando. So we have season tickets. We go to all the games. So let's just clear that up out of the way. Your Miami Nights podcast goes to the games.
Gotcha.
Um, I mean, we've heard this before. Miami it's a big event town. Like there is a lot of options, and I know people roll their eyes at that, but there are a lot of ways you can spend your weekend in Miami, and majority of the fan base is not alumni. So they're living in a lot of different areas. But when the Canes are good and the games are big, the fans show up. I was there in 2017 when we played Notre Dame. It was a sold out stadium, and that place was as loud of a stadium as I've been in. So week one against Notre Dame, you're going to see the fans. And yeah, it's always been like that. Even when Miami was great in the Orange Bowl and they were playing I don't know, they were playing a Boston College when they were down. Like there wasn't a lot of people in those stands either. It just kind of is what it is. They're not going to sell out every game. But the fans are, I mean, we're a passionate bunch to a fault. I mean, we can be insufferable. I'll admit that. But we're gonna show up. We're gonna be loud. And especially when the product on the field is good, you're gonna see, yeah, you're gonna see a lot of orange and green in those seats.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I thank you for your honesty because I think that that does lend itself to maybe some criticism
Yeah.
by more passionate fans who are like, I'll just throw Nebraska out there because they're, Lincoln, Nebraska. What else is there to do?
Yeah,
Go,
yeah,
go,
exactly. I
go
mean,
get lost in
Clemson,
a corn maze, maybe. I don't know.
it's the same thing with Clemson. It's like I mean, they've been very good, obviously, the last several years, but there's nothing to do there other than football. So it's like on Saturday, you're going to the game. It's just not like that in Miami. And but I'll tell you what, though, that stadium, I know a lot of people scream for an on campus stadium and all that. It's hard to beat Hard Rock Stadium. It is a great place I mean, the players love playing there. It's a great place for the fans. Some of the best food you'll ever have at a stadium. So it's great for me. I like it.
Well, being the fat guy that I am, I like to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm down
I'll
to
give you
clown.
some food options at Hard
Yeah.
Rock.
Yeah, there you go. Let's speak to that. That it is off campus. Tell everybody. A lot of people they think Miami and they think, the Miami of the '80s, the Miami of the late '90s, early 2000s. They think about the bad boys, if you will, of college football at times. But the institution itself, Miami, is a really good college. Am I right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like that is like it's not easy to get into.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Eric. I didn't get in.
Oh,
So I had to go to University of Central Florida, so I kept my, I could not stop being a Miami fan because of that. But, yeah, that's exactly right. Like, it is a small private school, that is it's a great college, but yeah, it's very small, so you don't get that huge alumni base that you get at some of these larger state colleges. And so a lot of the fans are kind of people like me who like my dad went to Miami. So you kind of grow up a Canes fan or you live down there and it's just almost part of the culture. It's like part of the neighborhoods that you're living in, especially that South Florida high school football. It's like the University of Miami, that's kind of the pipeline. So it's almost ingrained in you at a young age. So it's just different. And with the on off campus stadium, it's you just don't have that typical kind of college town feel with the large student section and the large band. And it's a different product, but it's incredible. It's the fan base is it's something special. Walking through that tailgate, um, with all of the large Cuban population that is at those games. I mean, I'm telling you, I talk about the food in the stadium, the tailgate food. You just walk down any of those rows, you are having some of the best Cuban and Spanish and the best food you could have. So it's a good time.
stick a pin in that. We're gonna circle back around to that at the end when I ask you my question about college realignment. I'm setting that up.
All right.
So, you mentioned culture. Um, Explain to me. I want you to ignore my gray and my beard, and the fact that I've been around watching college football for 40 years now, and a fresh college football fan, and I'm trying to understand what all the differences are between the different schools. And today I want to learn about Miami. Explain to me what the culture is of Miami football.
Well, I think you have to start with what happened in the '80s, or really when Howard Schnellenberger took over and he called what it was the state of Miami, and that was his pipeline of recruiting, and he built a wall in South Florida and said, "I'm going to recruit this area better than anybody else, and we're going to build our football program out of this talent." And that when you saw, like you said, this small private school bring in these kind of players and these are tough neighborhoods, like these kids, this was their way out. And so you saw some of that product on the field of just raw talent. So that in winning all of those championships in the '80s and racking up 5 total national championships in such a short amount of time built a championship football program at this small school that nobody knew about before that time happened. And so they were kind of the bad boys of college football that came in, and they've been trying to recreate it ever since. It hasn't happened. It's been, I mean, college football looks different now. You have to recruit elsewhere because other people are like, oh, Miami recruited South Florida so well and they won championships. We're going to go down there. And so now everyone's down there. So you're having to out recruit the Bamas of the world, the Ohio States of the world. I mean, teams way very far from Miami that are recruiting down there very well. So that's the culture that started, and that is almost not trying to. You're never going to recreate what happened in the '80s, but trying to recruit at an extremely high level is something that Miami just hasn't been able to do in the last 20 years until Mario Cristobal came in, who's an elite recruiter. And now with the NIL on top of that, Miami has a chance to be pretty lethal in the recruiting department. And that's ultimately the lifeline of a good college football team.
So, building on that, then culturally, the football team is culture comes from that Southern Florida
Yeah.
high school area. Then you're saying that's kind of where that whole maybe the attitude or the the brass being brash on the
Yeah.
football field comes from. You think?
Yeah, and I think that I mean the U invented swagger is what everyone says. And so
Okay.
that swagger, that moxie, that we are just going to we're better than you. We know we're better than you. We're going to show it on the field. And back in the day they were so much better than everyone else. So they could have unlimited unsportsmanlike penalties. It didn't hurt them. It just hasn't been that case. So we've had teams in the last 20 years that have tried recreating that, oh, we're the bad boys on the field and we're just gonna like be completely undisciplined and all that. And we just weren't good enough to overcome a lot of like boneheaded mistakes that have been made. So, but the culture is we want that swagger, but the swagger starts like Mario Cristobal says, he goes, I want the swagger to be, we're just going to whoop you on the field in the trenches. Like that's swagger, like show it on the scoreboard type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that about the culture kind of coming from the high school ranks. That's interesting to learn.
Yeah, that's
Um,
South Florida high school. It's different down there. I mean,
yeah.
it's even
Well,
the youth, like the Pee Wee football. It's just like you see some of these clips and stuff. It's all
yes.
like packed stadiums. I mean, there's some betting going on. It's nuts.
They're coming out to like themed music and
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty ridiculous, but I get it. I get it. Okay. Um, this is a debate that's been going around the internet, and I would love to get your 2 cents on it because when you talk blue bloods, I think Miami's one of the teams that people argue about the most, whether they are or they are not. I think those who argue that they are not tend to feel like your blue bloods should have come from further back. Their success comes from further back, while those who argue that they are immediately go to the '80s and start there and talk about what they did. I would love to get your input on that, Joe. Is Miami a blue blood or not? Yes or no, and why?
Oh man, that is a good question. I mean, I would say I don't know. That's tough. Like technically, no, they're not a blue blood. I would agree that the blue blood programs are I mean, like the older programs that have I you stumped me on that one. But I would say the ability of what they did in the '80s, the ability to how they show that they can be a consistent championship program because of where they're at, because of the recruiting ability. Like they're not one of these teams that that was their time and it's gone forever now. Like they have an opportunity to be a consistent championship program because of what happened in the '80s. Like you win multiple championships, you're in South Florida, you can be that every single year. A lot of people think that those times are forever gone because other schools just have the ability to recruit down there now. And Miami, for a while, we didn't think had the resources to be able to kind of put in the investment to build up a championship program again. And we've seen the last 3 years that that's not true. Like they have made major investments in football. So I guess technically, no, not a blue blood, but I don't care.
Well, let's talk about one of those blue bloods. Week one,
Yeah.
Notre Dame comes down to Miami. I'm very connected to the Notre Dame program through my relationships in this community and podcasting. And so I feel like I know a lot about Notre Dame and I've learned a lot about how they think. I don't know a lot about how Miami views Notre Dame. And of course, I can pull up 30 for 30 and watch, Catholics versus convicts and, and all of that stuff. But, this is intriguing for me to hear from a Miami fan on how they view Notre Dame and the Irish.
I hate them. I
Oh,
just
sounds like a
so yeah,
rival. Okay.
yeah. It's not. Yeah, we don't like each other. But it's tough. Like Miami is in a tough position with a lot of these teams that we have rivalries with and that we don't like because they've been good. They've played for championships. They played for a championship last year. Like we haven't. So it's kind of like all talk. But no, I mean, I like Notre Dame it's a huge game. Like Miami, Notre Dame, I mean, that sells tickets. But we don't like each other. But I'm not like this team's not afraid of Notre Dame. I mean, we talked about 2017 a lot because that was a big win for us. But when Notre Dame came into the Rock, it was College game day, and Miami didn't flinch. Like it was a butt whooping down there, and so I don't think. I mean, Miami last year opening at Florida was like a test that it's like, all right, is Miami different now? Like, can they win these bigger games on a national stage? And we crush Florida, so it's like I think the team is fully like capable and ready and not to flinch against a great team like Notre Dame. But yeah, as far as fan bases go, ooh, we do not like each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm learning this. This is a pretty heated rivalry and a
Yeah.
great week 1 matchup,
Oh, it's
man. Like
great. Yeah.
this is fantastic. So let's dive into the schedule here a little bit. We just talked about Notre Dame. I'm going to ask you a question about Notre Dame, and of course this will be on this video, but I'm going to cut this up for week number 1 for our big preview in week number 1. So you'll see this a couple times, folks. Joe, I want you to tell me why Miami wins week 1 against Notre Dame.
Miami wins week 1 against Notre Dame because Notre Dame has a good defense. They have a very good defense, but I I just think Miami's offense this season is going to be able to execute at a level not quite what last year was, putting up records, but I think with our offensive line being able to establish the run game early with hope a healthy Carson Beck that's able to just make good decisions, I'm not worried about scoring enough points on anybody, but specifically here in Notre Dame. And then I just think our defense is so much better than it was last year that I just think we match up against a team like Notre Dame very well. Opening game at Hard Rock, it's going to be a great atmosphere. Like you talk about Miami fans not showing up for games, they stop showing up when the team's losing. But you're 0-0, week 1, you have championship on your mind this season. It's going to be tough for Notre Dame to go into that stadium. People call me crazy for saying that. I promise you that place is going to be loud. You mark my words.
Is
Turn
it
up
a
the
co-
TV.
is it a coin flip game?
Um, I mean, I'd be very interested what the opening spread's going to be. The spread will be a coin flip. I bet. I really feel confident about this game. There's other games on this schedule that I don't feel good about. And honestly, Notre Dame's not one of them. I feel very good about opening up against them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Notre Dame is favored by 3 points as of right now,
Okay.
according to the Action Network. I don't know. I've never heard of the Action Network, so I don't know where they're getting that number from.
All
But
right.
yeah, to me, that sounds like a coin flip game. 3
Yeah.
points is a field goal. So, yeah, this is definitely one I've got my eye on. It's Sunday night. You're the only show in town that night. NFL hasn't started yet. You have all of week 1's games played out and over with already, and so all eyes are going to be on Miami, Florida, watching the Irish go down there. It's going to be very, very interesting, and it's one of the what I'm calling the big three. There's 3 huge games to open the season, and that is one of them. Of course, you have Texas versus Ohio State,
Yeah, that's crazy. One,
and you
two.
yeah, and you have Clemson and LSU, and then you've got Miami Notre Dame. So week 1 this year, college football, tip of the hat. Well
Yeah.
done, fantastic, and hats off to Notre Dame and Miami for playing the game.
Yep.
The theme right now that's happening around college football is no tough non-conference games,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys play 2 of them uh, that are incredibly difficult. Bethune-Cookman is not one of them. Of course, I'm not talking about that. South Florida, I wouldn't think it's tough, but they got talent.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that game last year started a little weird. Like they'll run a lot of kind of trickery in the first half and they've got speed, but at the end of the day, Miami's just so much more talented. So
Now, the second big, and by the way, the 13th, the 20th, and October 4th, I'm calling it Miami's Florida schedule. You
Miami doesn't
literally,
leave the state of Florida until November.
yeah, I mean
That's
that's
pretty good
crazy.
scheduling.
Yes, yes,
And how many home games am I counting? 8. It's pretty good scheduling.
yeah. I mean, hats off again to the athletic director. Saturday, September 20th. You guys get the Gators coming down your way here. Again, for someone who's not familiar with Miami and Florida, explain to somebody what this game and rivalry means.
Yeah, it's kind of a rivalry renewed. Like they just hadn't been playing each other the last several years, and then kind of sporadically within the last 10 years, and then last year we had that big home, or for Florida it was their opening game at home, and Miami came in and whooped them, and that kind of like, it was an incredible atmosphere. There was so much. Oh, it was so fun on Twitter that whole week, all the trash talking. And so it was kind of like a rivalry renewed with Florida. But these teams in, like, especially I think to like the like Sugar Bowl game back in 2003 or whatever with Devin Hester, like there's been some great moments against these Florida teams that have kind of made it a good rivalry. It's nowhere close to like what we have with Florida State, and then Florida and Florida State, obviously what they have with each other, but it's a good one. And honestly, Miami and Florida fans, you can hear that Miami's more talented again this year. They were way like, we'll see what DJ Lagway can do, see if they can stay healthy, but we're the better team. This is Billy Napier's last season.
Ooh,
Yeah.
calling the shot. I like
On
it.
it.
The first road game of the year. You guys get to fly over the new Gulf of America and head up to Tallahassee to take on the Seminoles. This is a Seminole team that was spurred from the college football playoff in 2023 and then just completely puked all over themselves in 2024. They're not going to be back to where they were at in 2023. They know they're not going to be back to where they were at in 2023. This feels like a game where Miami needs to go in and establish dominance early.
Agreed. Has to. First road game, and Miami FSU is always a game that you can kind of throw records out the window because it is just a different atmosphere. Everyone's getting their best. You've got like Florida, you just have kids that have played high school football together, now playing against each other. And so there's just so many dynamics that go into it that it doesn't matter how Florida State talent wise is going to be. I mean, Miami 2 years ago, when Florida State had a great team, they gave FSU all they could. Like, I saw a Miami team I hadn't seen all season play against them, and they kind of played super gutsy, ended up losing. But it's like, you just can't take into account record and rosters. Like, you really have to kind of put your foot on the gas and go, because you're going to get there. Whatever FSU is this year, we will get the best FSU team on October 4th.
You could probably say the same thing 2 weeks later on October 17th when Louisville comes to town.
Yeah.
I'm going to is I'm not a believer in SMU yet. So they'll have to prove it to me again for me to say what I'm about to say. Is this the most difficult conference game for you
It is.
guys?
This is the
Okay.
one that I have circled, especially if you think about November 1st, at this point, probably like both of these teams will be right in the hunt for down the stretch to play for the ACC championship, maybe make a run at the college football playoff. So it's like, this is a giant game. And SMU, they've got a lot of former Canes on their staff. They still have a few former Canes on their roster. They were like the junior Canes last season because they had so many transfer guys from Miami. So it's a big one. And being at SMU and kind of what they're building and the momentum that they have, yeah, I would say this is the most difficult conference game on our schedule.
What about the Cardinals of Louisville?
Yeah, I mean, Louisville is another team that always plays Miami well. I don't like They're going to be better than last year, and they had Miami on the ropes last year. But I just and you risk the hangover after FSU. It is a tough one. But I'm actually probably more concerned about FSU honestly than Louisville just because of the rivalry.
Okay. No, you get 2 weeks in between two. You get a bye. That'll help
Yeah.
out too. Yeah, no, November 1st is definitely circled for everybody as well. Um, Definitely looking forward to again. I really am interested to see how the Mustangs bounce back
Yep.
after last season. All right, let's look at the other five that we haven't talked about: Stanford, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, Pitt. Out of those 5 games, which is going to be the most difficult and why?
It's November 29th at Pitt. That's the game that Miami has lost the last count how many years. Like if what we're seeing with the schedule and what we know about the team at this point, they should have maybe a loss. You circle either Notre Dame, Florida, like they potentially only have one loss at this point. And so you're playing for an ACC championship. You're playing for a college football playoff berth potentially. Like it's road, it's cold, it's the end of the season. Can you win that game and finally get over the hump? To me, that's the biggest one. At VT is always tough, but they're not quite. They're still rebuilding. They just won't quite have the talent to make that game too scary. But you never know in Blacksburg what can happen.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. That's good insight. All right. Looking at the schedule, I want you to give me your honest bad news. Beck isn't ready to go. We've got to go to the other quarterback. And who do we have? And basement floor. This was a disaster season. And then give me your best case scenario ceiling for the season record wise. What's the range here?
Well, worst case is you lose Notre Dame, Florida, a mix between FSU and Louisville, so 3 losses there, and then you lose to SMU, and then you lose. I mean, worst case is 5 losses. That would be the everything is just falling apart, and Miami football will never be back ever again. Um, but it's like you said, you bring up a good point. If Carson Beck, if something happens there, whether it's an injury or he's just not the guy, they have a true freshman that's going to be very good in Luke Nickel, but he's a true freshman. Emory Williams, who came in the bowl game, we've seen him. He played gutsy against Clemson and FSU the last couple of years, but he hasn't shown that he can be a guy to go out there and consistently win games. So that's the concern is like who plays quarterback if something happens with Beck. So yeah, I mean, I could see 5 losses. That would be insane, and I would just be so sad. And then the best case, oh, I mean, it's so hard to you could just say 12-0, but it's like it's there, which is crazy. I gotta say, an undefeated season is possible with if Carson Beck can play the 2023 Carson Beck. We're gonna have an incredible offensive line, weapons, defense is going to be light years better than last year, and we lost 2 games, should have only been really one because of that defense. So it's like I could see undefeated here, which is nuts. I mean, people are going to be like, "You're out of your mind" when they hear that, but I
Hey,
could see it.
nothing. Hey, that's what fan is short for fanatic, right? That
Yeah,
is what the that is that's who we are. So
but it's
there's
like the
no,
schedule lines up perfect, right? I mean, it
yeah,
really
it
like you've got
does.
your tough games, but this is the season to do it.
Well, and like I said in the opener before I brought you on and introduced you, Joe, Miami is I think without a shadow of doubt Clemson's biggest challenge this year. But in
Yeah,
order for them to be Clemson's biggest challenge, they're going to have to get to the ACC championship.
exactly.
And so, you kind of have to maneuver around those landmines that are out there in Louisville and Stanford and Pitt, as you pointed out. But the good news is you can trip up against Notre Dame, you can trip up
Yes,
against Florida, and you still can get there.
yes,
There's still a
100%.
path to get there. So very, very interesting. All right, let's circle back to that pin that we put in there about 20 plus minutes ago. For people who don't know about the academic standards at the University of Miami, um, is the football team does the football team are their recruiting standards a little bit less than the academic wise than the students? Is that something that they get a benefit from?
I mean, yeah, and I think like every school would have that
Mm-hmm.
where like you're higher. I mean, but it's like you're a school like Stanford, it's still more difficult to
Sure.
recruit and get them in at Stanford because of the academic. And Miami is similar and like the GPA that like they have to maintain and kind of the academic integrity that the team has to be there, but it's like for sure it's way, and I think they do benefit from that, which is why Miami is also so appealing for recruits, because it's like we can go there and play some really good football with a pipeline in the NFL, and we can also get a good degree, and so there's that benefit. So I think it helps them in every single way, but it is
Right.
an interesting dynamic having such a good academic school, but it's not to this like caliber of like us getting like going to Stanford and what their football recruits require as like far as GPA out of high school goes.
Yeah. The beach doesn't hurt either. I mean,
The beach does not hurt. No. No.
okay. Now I asked that question, and the reason why I wanted to circle back to this is let's talk college football realignment for a second.
Mm.
It is obvious to me, and I think it is obvious to everybody that the SEC in Miami mix is a oil and water mix. Like they don't mix.
Yeah.
Is it just as simple as if the Big Ten's willing to accept Miami, they're going to the Big Ten eventually?
It feels like that. It
Yeah.
does. It feels like it would be, I mean, Miami, Clemson, and FSU are the three that just would be like next to leave. Like we've had the whole thing with Clemson, FSU trying to get out and all the lawsuits that happened there, and now they're stuck around. But it does feel like Big Ten would be the best fit, and I think it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah, because you don't hear any talk about Miami in the SEC at
No,
all. Like
yeah,
none.
I know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and so I'm I half believe that Miami and the Big Ten are like there's like a silent nod with each other.
I
Like
think so. Yeah, we'll
yeah,
see you
like
down the road.
yeah,
Yeah,
we see your academic standards and we
yeah,
accept you. Like
yeah,
it's like, you know, that
yeah.
kind of thing going on. All right, so let me ask you this. It seems to me that in most realignment situations now, you go in pairs. Who's coming with Miami to the Big Ten then?
That's a good question because it's definitely like Clemson and FSU are a pair. That's what it feels like. Um, I don't know. Would you guys take Virginia Tech?
Probably not. Um, I'm hearing a lot of grumblings about Georgia Tech or Virginia because of their
Mm,
academic
because they're
standards.
actually, yeah.
But I think North Carolina's the gym that
Mm,
everybody's looking at
yeah.
and kind of tussling for, it seems like. I know that the Big Ten would love to have Chapel Hill in
Yeah.
its footprint.
Yeah.
Um, and so, then it begs the question, well, then are you going to take Duke if
Duke, right.
North Carolina
I just
goes?
can't, yeah. I can't see Duke in the Big Ten.
I mean, I can in basketball, but
Yeah,
but Duke football wise, I mean we have Northwestern too. So I mean it's not
that's
like,
true.
it's not like the Big Ten's not against.
Yeah.
And the thing that I try to get people to understand when we talk realignment is that the Big Ten looks at academics first before they ever look at
Oh, I didn't
the
know that.
athletic. Oh yeah, before they ever look at athletics, it's all about do you fit within our AAU status and the parameters academically that we have as a conference,
Mm,
because a lot of people don't realize how much federal grant money comes to the Big Ten schools through the AAU status for medical research, and it is critical for them that connectivity that they have with all the other Big Ten schools when it comes to that medical research. The Big Ten presidents do not want to upset that apple cart. And so
Interesting.
that's one of the reasons why when you saw UCLA and USC come in, and then eventually Oregon and Washington, it was all about AAU status there
Mm,
more so than anything athletically. So I'm just it's kind of curious, and of course when you see Miami's academic standards and whatnot, you just
yeah,
kind of like I said, I think there's a wink, wink, nod, nod with each other going on
definitely.
there. So that's very interesting. And so let me ask you this question. All of that aside, just looking at it as a fan, who would you like to see Miami bring with them if they were to go to a new conference?
Yeah, which is why I said Virginia Tech, because
Okay.
that is like a good rivalry that we have with them, kind of stemming back to the Big East days.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be cool to continue that with them. Georgia Tech has been such a thorn in our side the last 5 years. I want to never see Georgia Tech ever again. So as a as just a fan of football, Virginia Tech.
What about Notre Dame?
I mean, will
Or
they ever
is your
join a
hate so
conference?
much that you're like, no?
No, Notre Dame would be a really cool ad too. Like that would make, if Miami and Notre Dame both went over the Big Ten, that'd be pretty cool. But Notre Dame, I mean, will they ever join a conference? Are they too
Not
good for everyone else?
not if they can help it.
They're not forced to. Yeah,
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 not if they can help it.
yeah,
Uh, Fantastic discussion, Joe. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you joining us here on the College Huddle. And by the way, we are tickled pink to have the Miami Nights podcast a part of our College Huddle community. You'll be seeing a lot more of Joe. He's going to be collaborating with a lot of the other College Huddle podcasts, including the one that we're going to be talking to very soon, the Gyrish podcast,
yeah.
which is the Notre Dame podcast that we've brought on to the community as well as we prepare for the 2025 season. Joe, if I were to catch a Miami game, and I wanted to fit in with all the locals. And I asked this question for everybody just so I kind of get there. I know the you. I know that's what everybody says,
No,
right?
but you're doing it wrong.
Is well, but
You got to put
okay.
all. There you go.
I was
If
making one
you
of
do
those
that,
field goal
where yeah,
posts.
that's
You're
yeah,
like, oh, he's not one of us.
yeah.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
So is it when you see another Miami fan, do you just go the
Yeah,
you? Is that what you say?
exactly.
Okay.
All you have to do is throw it up. They'll just throw it back to you. Like, you don't even have to. You can say "Go Canes," but if you just flash the U, it's just a mutual, like, yeah, we got
Okay,
it.
there it
Yeah,
is, man.
yeah.
There it is. I kind of feel like Bullwinkle when I do that. I don't know.
It's just nice and easy. Just hit them with it, and yeah.
Hit him, hit him with
But
that.
don't, if you do this, they're gonna either think you're mocking them. That's Utah, so we don't want. And they stole it, but
Oh,
that's a whole
they
nother
oh
thing.
they
Yeah,
stole it. That's
yeah,
they just took down all the national championships that
exactly.
you guys
Yeah,
have. Is that
there
what?
you go.
Okay, my bad, Utah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Utah's catching strays.
random on a random
Yeah,
Miami
it's like, wait,
College
what?
Huddle podcast.
Yeah.
The Utes take one on the chin. That's
Uh,
what you get when you come to
that's
the College Huddle, everybody. It's a lot of fun. We're
that's
doing it.
football, baby.
That's it. We're doing it here. Joe, tell everybody one more time where they can find you guys at.
The Miami Nights podcast. So at Miami Nights podcast on X, and then wherever you listen to your podcast, that's where we're at. But appreciate you having us on, Eric. It's been great.
Yeah,
Yeah, go
no,
Canes.
no problem. You can also catch them on the College Huddle. Head over to
Yes.
thecollegehuddle.com. Scroll over to the ACC. It's the first one that's up there. Head down to the M's. You'll find Miami. There you'll find the Miami Nights podcast with all their links to everything that they have on social media and their podcast, guys. Joe, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Thank
Yeah,
you
it's
so
been
much.
great.
Enjoy the season. We'll
Yeah.
be catching up again. Till next time, everybody. Hit them with the U. Go Canes.
Go Canes.